Slenderman preteen killer begs to be removed from mental institution. Well, good. If you're the Slenderman killer, goddamn, and you want to be removed from the mental institution, where do you want the hell to take your ass? You don't need me back in public, bitch. I ain't lying.
It was a case that shocked the nation and made headlines around the world. In 2014, two preteens lured their classmate into a forest during a game of hide and seek, then stabbed her more than a dozen times, all to appease an online boogeyman called Slenderman. Nearly 10 years later, one of those girls, who is now 21 years old, is asking to be released from a mental institution.
So, we have to hope that through age and through treatment that she's been able to deal with that, and they've been able to kind of figure out what the source of that was, and they've been able to get her right. Otherwise, they'll keep her in there, which, if she's not right, she needs to be in there. We can't have her running around. But I don't know those answers, and we'll have to wait and see what the doctors say.
Do y'all believe in Slenderman? Yes or no? Let me know in the comments.
Will be prudent.
Do you believe in Slenderman?
The 2014 stabbing took place in a local park in Waukesha, Wisconsin. Prosecutors say Morgan Geyser and Anissa Wire pinned down their classmate Peyton Lautner. Then Morgan stabbed Peyton 19 times while Anissa urged her on. Peyton thankfully was able to drag herself to a nearby road and found a cyclist who called 911. Her so-called friends Morgan and Anissa were caught by authorities within hours. During their interview with police, the two reportedly showed no remorse and claimed they attacked Peyton to appease Slenderman, a tall, thin, faceless, and fictional character. In 2018, Morgan Geyser was committed to the Wisconsin Department of Health Services for 40 years after being found guilty of attempted first-degree intentional homicide, but found not guilty by reason of mental disease. Now, through a new petition, she's seeking to be released from the state mental hospital, but with conditions.
When I was a kid, we always had, Bloody Mary, that if you said Bloody Mary in the mirror 3 times, that she'd appear. We always had kind of these legends, but it never went to the absolute diabolical.
Oh God, but you actually murked somebody. You murked that.
When they killed their friend that they were having a sleepover with, that it was at the behest of Slenderman.
I spoke with criminal defense attorney and host of the Defense Diaries podcast, Bob Mata. He tells me Morgan would have to go through rigorous court-appointed evaluations to even be considered for conditional release.
And obviously from an attorney's perspective, I immediately start looking at their age. That's always the thing that I'm looking at in terms of undeveloped minds, which at 12 years old, despite the act itself being a very adult act, their minds are just not developed. So you have that dichotomy there that's hard
with that DTA and shit. That's on God for that shit. I be talking about for on God.
How do you deal with a couple of girls that seem to have come unhinged, and in terms of doing this to one of their friends, and ultimately when I heard the story, it was shocking. I was obviously very happy that the victim survived, thankfully. I mean, the way that it works is that the judge will he'll require that she goes through some pretty heavy-duty evaluations from a court-appointed psychologist and psychiatrist to see if she's ready. She's been working at this point for near 10 years to try to get right. I think she was convicted in 2014, if I'm correct, and we're rolling up on 2024. So, we have to feel that the judicial side of it, that they're going to take all the measures necessary to make sure that they're not sending somebody that's continuing to be unhinged even into her young adulthood.
Man, she looked crazy as fuck for I don't know.
It always depends on the doctor, and it depends on how much faith you put into psychiatry and psychology in terms of really being able to predict what's going to happen in the future. It's unsettling, it is. It makes you feel nervous. And you just hope that the doctors that are going to be evaluating her
boy, she's staying in there.
Anissa Wire, who stood as lookout
Ain't she
during
staying
the
in that
stabbing,
bitch?
was
She
also
staying in that hoe, ain't it?
2017 for her
You
role in
wag
the
your
attack
tail head.
and
She
granted
staying in
conditional
that hoe.
release in September 2021. Anissa's conditions include being required to receive outpatient psychiatric treatment. She was subject to GPS monitoring, but that condition was waived in September. So could Anissa's release help in Morgan's case? Mata says it's possible.
Yeah, I think certainly that they'll look at it. You know, from what I've read, she's been successful with it. She hasn't had any issues.
That do not look like y'all.
That's obviously going to be something that will be brought up in terms of the judge deciding whether or not it's appropriate for her to be released at this point. You know, but that sticking factor, and we don't know what the state's position is going to be with respect to it, is, you know, again, Morgan was the one that was actually doing the deed. You know what I mean? So like that, it's an extenuating circumstance which could play against her. You know, because it's one thing to kind of tag along with a buddy, you know, that's your friend and peer pressure and whatever the case may be. It's another thing to be the actor, you know. So we'll see. I mean, it certainly can't help that she seemed to be able to adapt. But as far as Morgan goes, I mean, we'll have to wait and see. And again, it's really going to boil down to, you know, powerful evaluations have to be done. These just can't be check the boxes.
Hey,
like, yeah, she's good to go. You know, I mean, in which I assume that the doctors that'll be charged with the task of evaluating.
Oh my God, ass. Fuck.
Is human. So excited to show them this.
And the best ass.
Evaluating will do a proper job because they'll know.
A proper job? What the fuck?
She's getting released on their word and on their evaluations that if something goes awry, people are going to come knocking on their doors. So let's hope that they do the job properly.
This isn't the first time Geiser's defense attorneys asked the judge for conditional release. She reportedly asked a Washington County judge to be released, but withdrew those petitions in 2022 and 2023.
I think her probably, like the most likely scenario is that her attorney looked at the evaluations, spoke with the doctors in the facility, and got a, you know, because I'm sure Morgan was pushing. You know, I mean, as soon as she heard that her girlfriend got out, she's like, well, I want to get out. What about me? What about me? You know, and it's like, so she was probably constantly asking her attorney, when can I file? I want to file. I'm ready. And I have a feeling that based on conversations that took place regarding her progress, that they thought it in the best interest that maybe she hold off for a bit longer. I mean, that's the most logical explanation, you know?
Wow.
And I think that ultimately the attorney was probably trying to set it up in a way that it will succeed, as opposed to going in and getting turned down. You know, because that just it creates a bit of a stigma just mentally for you know, anybody that's going to be looking at it moving forward, especially a judge. You know, if the judge is going to be the one that's ultimately going to decide whether or not she can be released, and she'd gone in a year prior and they say she's not ready, and you know, she was pushing it to get out, it's gonna cause that judge to take pause and be like, all right, well, what has changed that much? And you know what I'm saying? So I think probably they wanted to wait until it was going to be.
She must want to get her
clear across the board in terms of
she want to get her.
and the
she wants
providers,
to go get a girlfriend.
Saying, look, I think she's ready.
What the fuck?
We feel very secure in that, and that's when they decide to run with it.
And with a judge ultimately making that decision, a scheduling conference is expected in the coming weeks.
And I'm sure, based on kind of the high-profile nature of the case, that it's going to be looked at. It'll be scrutinized, and that everyone will be, you know, dotting their I's and crossing their T's to make sure that they get it right. Because the last thing that we want is to put, you know, an unhinged young woman out there who's still got issues. You know, because that's like doing what she did. You know, kind of based on things that she's seeing on social media. She was very susceptible to suggestion back then, you know, and her mind was wandering. So, you know, we have to hope that through age
open ass girl,
you know,
bro.
through treatment that she's been able to deal with that.
You go off what everybody else
figure
tell
out
you.
what
I
the source
hate
of that
a
was.
like this. Oh God,
they've been able to get her right. You know, otherwise, you know, they'll keep her in there. Which, if she's not right, she needs to be in there. You know, we can't have her running around. But I don't know those answers, and we'll have to wait and see what the doctors say. and we have to assume that the judge will be prudent and make the right decision.
A judge will have 30 days to appoint doctors to evaluate Morgan Geyser before another court hearing. Reporting for Law and Crime, I'm Elizabeth Milner.
Nothing is stopping him from making America
shut
great.
The fuck up, biatch. Nobody called your ass. Oh god, that shit crazy. Anyway, though, for that it for this video, for what y'all ass think? How long ago this whole was? I can't tell. Hold on. Did her end up getting out for? Yes or no? Y'all let me know in the comment, goddamn. Ooh. And also, y'all let me know what the fuck you should do when y'all need hurt. Oh god. But make sure y'all follow me on the ground at STA KT and at Really KT, goddamn. And let's get it, baby. See y'all in the video, man. Big.